Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz, and welcome to a sneak peek preview of Arms Trade Tycoon from Microprose software. This game is coming it's coming into early access on February 6th, literally about less than 24 hours after I make this video. And first up, before we take a look at this, I want you to forget everything you imagine a Tycoon game to be, because this redefines the mold of Tycoon games. If you like designing tanks, if you want to relive some of the early armor history of military combat, if you like war games, and if you like business simulations, I think you will like this. Any one of those combinations should give you some ground here. But let's dig in and get started. We're going to do an overview of the game, and then we're going to play through a first build cycle and see if I can not fail. I've yet to succeed at the first build cycle. I'm going to select here New Game. Now, right now we can only play Great Britain's early access, so it's rather limited in its full feature set. I believe the design vision of this game is to have multiple nations, to be able to play Germany, perhaps the United States, France, different countries like that, and play up to the modern era. Right now you can play 20 years as Great Britain. So we're starting out in 1914 at the very origins of tank warfare. Now the three difficulty levels down here: Apprentice, Entrepreneur, and True Tycoon. I'm going to pick Entrepreneur, although caveat here, I've yet to get through the first cycle without going bankrupt. So we'll see how this goes. My name, I'll put in here, Zilla, and we're going to have a company name. Let's call this Zilla Armor, which sounds like a perfect name. So we are set. Now this again is just a reminder that this is early access and things are going to change and be built upon here. And we can see here we get news that's going to be popping up. Now, world history diverges from the real world history, as we shall take a look shortly. So you're going to get some, it's going to mirror kind of the evolution of armored combat. How that history happens can be a lot different in the game. And we can see here right now, on July 1st, 1914, Britain has formed a tank corps. And that's going to be our job, is to supply this tank corps with its first set of 20 tanks. Now this game plays out the same way in the beginning in terms of, we don't have a contract right now. We've got just basically, this is our tank company. We have no business. So we're going to try to bid for a contract. We're going to try to design a tank for that contract, build a tank for that contract, and then ship it to them and get it there on time for the first British tank corps. Now, what are we looking at? This is the company here all around. We can see that we've got 9 different places that we're going to go. But before we take a look at the company here, I want to show you the world map, because I think this will give you an idea of how deep and intricate this game is aiming for. So I'm going to click up here on the world map. This is going to pull up the world map, and we can see, if I zoom in here, we've got all these countries, and these are kind of areas where you can have battlefields. And so you're going to basically build these tank units. They're going to get sent to particular areas to fight. And then depending upon how you built the tank relevant to that area and that combat and what other nations you're going up against, those units are going to perform in battle and give you kind of achievements and feedback. You might even capture an enemy tank that you can redesign and reverse engineer and bring those components into your design as well. And so you're going to be basically responsible for, although it's hands-off in terms of those battles, you're just going to get reports back on how your tanks performed in those different battles. And so you can design different tanks for different battlefields, different conflicts, different areas and things. And this is just amazing. All these different places down here in Africa that can happen. And if we take a look at the different characteristics of the countries here, we can see the depth to which the countries are modeled. I mean, we've got the budget preferences, economy preferences, military preferences. So these are all going to vary by country eventually, I think, as the game goes forward. So if you're playing Germany, you're going to be tasked and get contracts to build different types of tanks to meet different types of specifications. And we can see here, in addition to internal politics, we've got external politics, the countries that they've got trade agreements with, non-aggression pacts, alliances, the economy of the country, the tank corps. Here is that very first one. The first regiment out of apparently 20 that they're thinking to build. It's the Vanguard tank, and that's going to be our job, is to build these tanks for this first tank corps. There's also Army Corps that shows all the different military strength, and then any trophies. These trophies are earned during battle, depending on whether you win those battles or not. And we can see up here all kinds of information about the countries and things like that. I don't want to go too much into depth because we could probably spend a half an hour just looking at that, but understand that your company sits in this intricate modeled world of combat that you're providing the tanks for that are going to give you feedback on. So let's go back now to our interface here, our company. We can see up in the top, there's just a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go too much into detail with this, but we've got basically components and supplies to build our tanks in terms of iron and available resources, medium carbon steel, rubber, and all these different types of things. You've got to buy those to make sure that the supplies are in so you can build the tanks. But before we get that, then we've got all the different buttons that basically correspond to these buildings and the different things that you're going to be doing. But let's take a look at our basic interface here. There are 9 main buildings, or areas if you would, in our company. And starting in the bottom right, we've got the Research Bureau, the Engineering Bureau, and the Design Bureau. Now, the Research Bureau is kind of where you imagine a tank component based on current day, kind of the next evolving research. The Engineering Bureau is where you build that prototype piece of the tank. And the Design Bureau is where you go and you're going to put that tank together. So if we think of it in terms of Lego pieces, right? The Research Bureau is where you imagine the Lego piece. The Engineering Bureau is where you build that particular Lego piece. And the Design Bureau is where you put all the different Lego pieces together to make a tank. And you've got to do it in that order. So as you're playing, you kind of want to make sure you're always researching something new. And if possible, you want your engineers working to build prototypes of that. And then you can go to the Design Bureau and you can upgrade the performance and the different characteristics of your tank. Once you've got that design done, you're going to come to this production hall in the middle, and that's where you're going to build the tank itself. Then the warehouse is where you store components and store the tanks, and you've got to ship them and get to the customer on time. In the trial run I just played, I had this kick butt tank, and I delivered it 3 days late and they wouldn't take it because the Army Corps, the Tank Corps needed to go. So there are some strict elements to this game. On the left-hand side, we have a museum, which is right over my head, where you can go back and look at the designs that you've made. Then we've got a proving grounds, where once you design that, kind of build that first prototype tank, you're going to send it over here, and it's going to point out the defects, and then you can come back and you can refine those defects. And then we can also take tanks for a test drive, as we shall see. As we go through this whole thing, we're going to kind of show how these all different work, the areas work and stuff like that. So hang tight. We're going to now start our company. We're going to try to design our first tank, get our first contract, build our first tank, and see if we can ship it to the British military in time so we don't go bankrupt. The biggest number that we want to be careful of is up on the top. We've got 800,000, basically, I guess this would be pounds or dollars or money units. We want to make sure we don't go bankrupt. We can't take one loan. Speaking of that, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come into the administration building here. And basically this is, we've got the main administration building here. And in front of it, you can see all these kind of wooden logs and stuff like that. On the left-hand side, we can build and upgrade different departments. So we can build a fire station, maintenance office, medical stations, all these different kinds of things. I'm going to be a little bit frugal, but one thing that I have noticed is that things tend to go on fire a lot. So I'm going to build a fire station. It's going to cost us 30,000 pounds, take 60 days, and it will be a maintenance cost of 5,000 per month. This will reduce our fire risk by 10% in the factory grounds. So we have now got that, and this is going. The other thing I want to do in here, because I'm going to be really frugal, and one thing that I noticed is you can hire and fire people pretty quickly. And down here, we have 240 workers, right? But we have nothing for them to do right now. They're just going to sit around for a couple months because we don't have a tank to build. So I'm going to come in here. Whoops, go like that. I'm going to come in here and, it's over here that we're going to get them. Total salary available for hire. I want to fire them here. Yeah, you're about to dismiss your employees. We're going to fire 240 because they're doing nothing. Oops, I just dismissed one. Sorry. Dismissed the other 239. Yes. Now we paid him for July anyway, but we're not going to need him till like September, October. So that's going to save us a lot of money. Just have to remember to come back and hire them. So we've done that here. Eventually we're going to be able to hire administrator, but we don't have anybody that wants to work for us yet. That's really important too, because that administrator has some skills that are going to allow us to really kind of fine tune and refine our production, make it go faster. So we are done with everything we want to do in the production office right now. Now, we could come up to the Design Bureau right now. We have some prototype pieces. Let's click on it and take a look up here. We could come up to the Design Bureau and build a tank based on what we know right now, which is this Mark I tank. Here it is right here. It's got lots of different pieces and lots of different components and stuff like that. And we could get going here. We could add an engine to it that we've got. We could add the centipede tracks out here. We could add the sponsons on either side. Put a metal plate there. We can stick our 6-pounder right now, which is the only thing we've got here for a gun. Hotchkiss 6-pounder. And on the front, we can put a Lewis machine gun. Whoops. Nope, I'm going to do that. We can put the Lewis machine gun in there. We can select our crew. We can put expendables in here, which is some high explosive ammunition. And we could paint the thing too. And if we switch our camera here, we could see we could build this tank here right now. But I want to see if we can do better, and I want to streamline it a little bit. So we're just going to bail out of this, and I'm going to come back and I'll show you when we get over to the design, the research factory, the research department, how we're going to start picking up some different pieces and stuff. All right, so we are back out to our main area here. We didn't design that tank that we could because I think we can do better. We're going to go to the research department here right now, and I want to be a little bit careful on money, but I do want to try to build at least one building at a time. We're going to build this ergonomics office, which improves task execution and optimizes the production flow. That's a lot of key buzzwords. I don't quite know. Let's see, actually, we probably can see what it does here. 10. Improvements, increase the number of employees per line, which is actually important because we want more engineers pretty soon, I think. Okay, so we're building that. I'm tempted to build some of these others, but I've run out of money on like the previous 2 attempts, so I'm not really gonna do much with that. So we're just gonna build the ergonomics office, and now we're gonna come down here and we're gonna try to research some stuff. And this is where I think if you like designing tanks or military history, the history of tanks, you can really geek out on all of this stuff, because these ones over my head, well, first up, top right, we have a structure area. So we can see in the top right of the screen, we have firepower. I can click on firepower. This shows us the research elements for firepower. And then we have mobility, all the different things that we can build for mobility. The blue ones are the ones we already know. So we've got this high pass running gear has been researched. Petrol octane gas has been researched. A sleeve engine, which is right beside my head there, has already been reached. If we look at firepower, we've got the naval gun here that we're using, common rounds, a light top feed machine gun. That's the Lewis machine gun, I think. And you can see also above me, there's tier 2. So right now we're just doing above on the top right corner, there's tier 2 things. I think we have to get through all of the tier 1s, in order to get to tier 2. So this is just the tier 1 page. And these are all the different things that we can research for tier 1. Now, let's think about what we want to do. This is where I want to try to get 3 things, okay? I want to see if we can improve the machine gun, because I believe these early tanks are used largely against infantry, because there aren't other tank corps in the world. So I think we're going to try to do this here, which is to research this machine gun. Now, one of the elements of this too is that in addition to researching this machine gun, we're going to be researching all these components to it too. So we can see the Hotchkiss 1909 right above my head. We're also going to be researching the barrel insert, the barrel Mark II, the magazine Mark II, and the stock Mark II. And these can be retrofitted into some of our older designs too. So you get lots of different combinations as you research different things. So you might get some new components you might get a new tread design, but you can take some components of that and stick it in the old tread design to improve that as well. So you can do tons of different creative things with how you're building these tanks. But most importantly, we can research one thing at a time, because it's going to take us 20 engineers to do this, and that's how many engineers we have. Down at the bottom here, we can see right beside me, it says staff. It's going to take 20. It's going to take 2,400 man hours and 15 days to research. So we are going to start that now, and we can see up top in the blue there, light side machine gun. It's going to take us 15 days. Our goal here for this first tank is I want to research the mobility, this improved high pass running. I want to get this second level of treads here and this second engine. So that's going to be our goal. And we can't waste any time if we're going to do it, because we just screwed up in the previous company that I did this in. We didn't get our tanks delivered in time. Now, the next thing that we want to do is, we talked about how this is where you imagine the Lego pieces. So we're imagining this new Lego piece, which is basically this improved machine gun. I want to go to our engineering bureau and kind of redesign one of our tank sections here, which is this Mark I, right? Because this Mark I's got all these goofy things on it, and I want to try to streamline this a little bit. So I am going to kind of come up here to the Mark I, and we are going to redesign the Mark I and make a whole new type of tank design here. So basically, I'm going to get rid of the roof because I don't like it. It looks kind of derpy. And I'm going to get rid of these bicycle wheels in the back. And by building a better engine and by getting that second level treads that we're going to try to go for, I think we can build a tank that's going to perform really well without all the need. Well, the roof is protection, really, but we're not going to worry too much about that. We're going to get rid of those wheels in the back that I think are actually going to increase mobility. So basically what we're doing right now is I'm reimagining this Lego piece and building this Lego piece, this different type of hull that we're going to use. And this is also going to be the name of our tank. We're going to call this the Rhino Mark I. Okay, and we're going to save that name there. Now it's there. But now, in order to imagine this new hull Lego piece that we're building, we have to come down here and assign some engineers to it, and they're going to kind of basically build that prototype that we can then use in the design lab. So right there, the Rhino Mark 1, it's going to take us 10 days to rebuild this hull over what we've got the Mark 1 Mark 1. The Rhino Mark 1 is now underway, and we've done our second thing. And for the moment then, kind of come back here to our main world, but our engineering bureau is fully occupied. Our research bureau is fully occupied. Our design bureau, we're not going to have them do anything because I want to wait for the engineering bureau and the research bureau to basically get those treads and the engines going. So now we're going to kind of push forward in time now. I'm going to start the game up because it's paused up top. We're going to let time go until the research bureau is done, and the engineering bureau, we don't have anything else to do that. We're going to let it go until the research bureau is done to start things up. Time goes on 3 different speeds, so it moves pretty quickly here. And we're getting this little tutorial down here. I'm going to kind of skip through that because we don't really need that. So I'll be back shortly after we get our first research element. It's about 10 days later, and we can see we just got notification that engineering has completed the Rhino Mark 1 hull. So our newly reimagined hull is ready as kind of a Lego piece to go up to the design bureau to build a tank. We're not done yet, though. We're waiting for our research bureau to finish the machine gun part. That should happen shortly here. Once we get word on that, we don't need this. And let's get it. There we go. Okay, so light side feed machine gun has been designed. That means we can do a couple things right now. First up, we want to come down to the research bureau here, and we want to design a new thing, the second thing that we want. Now, I'm tempted here by this female Mark 1. What is this called here? The sponson, right? So we could do that and get these other pieces as well. But I want to stick to the plan here, which is mobility, mobility, mobility. I'm going to take this twin engine, this Tyler twin 4-cylinder engine. This allows us as well to get side brakes, flywheel, a carburetor Mark 1, radiator Mark 2, transmission Mark 2, all these other components here. It's going to take us 20 days to research it. But one of the other things too, well, we'll see too, but all of these elements have basically characteristics to it. So we can see this Taylor engine here has mass and volume. It has crew performance rating, which is a 23. It has mobility of agility of 76, which is agility, road speed, 18, cross-country speed. So the depth to which each of these components is modeled is just remarkable. And we have to balance the weight of the tank with the performance of the tank, with the protection of the tank, with the firepower of the tank. So really you're trying to balance all these different characteristics and build a tank that's actually going to be in those units and go off and perform well in the battles to win your country battles. Because if you build cruddy tanks, you're going to lose the wars, and that's not good either. So we're going to start researching this. So that takes here, we can see it's going to take us 20 days to research this twin engine. This twin engine is much, much better. It's such a cool engine. And so we are done with that. However, what we want to do now, and you can use these quick navigation things to work on this too. We're going to hop over here to engineering because we have now, if we look at these buttons way up on top of my head and we click on this secondary weapon, right now we have this Hotchkiss machine gun, which is the new one that we just imagined. So now we have to build the Lego piece, and I want to make one modification to it because we can see, actually, check this out too, right? Because on the right-hand side, we can see the firepower. So we can see this is accuracy of 14, range of 14, rate of fire of 15. If we look at the Lewis machine gun, accuracy of 13, range of 6, rate of fire 11. This Hotchkiss machine gun is just so much better, right? It doesn't, however, if we notice it, it doesn't have good a kinetic penetration as the Hotchkiss 1909, but so many of the other factors are good for the Hotchkiss 1909 that we're going to build that. We're going to make one further improvement to it though, because we can come down here on this Hotchkiss. We've got the barrel insert Mark II for it. We've got the barrel Mark II on it, which is good. Now the magazine, however, we've got magazine Mark II, and watch what happens. We're going to put on this magazine Mark IV, and it's going to change the characteristics of this. I forget how. It's not showing up with their firepower soft. There's a couple things that changed to it too, but oh yeah, sorry, it's right down here. It's on the thing itself. So up over my head, we can see that it weighs more. Instead of 2 kilograms, it weighs 3 kilograms. But its anti-ricochet value is now a 5 instead of a 4. Its damage does 5 instead of 4. And the other one here, in terms of the rate of fire, is the same. So this magazine Mark IV is going to give us some improvements. It is, however, going to cost more resources to make, twice as much, 4 iron instead of 2 iron. It's going to cost us $50 or pounds to make it instead of 23. And it's going to take 65 hours to make instead of 30. but it's worth it. So we're going to add that in there. For the stock, actually, I like the kind of this core stock that's on here. It's a little bit more, but gives us just better kind of factors here too. So now with all these things in mind, we've got our Hotchkiss 1909 Mark II that we're going to build, and we are going to assign our engineers to build this prototype. So we've imagined the piece with this new machine gun. Now we're going to assign our engineers, and it's going to take them just 2 days to build a prototype of this that then we can go use in our tank designs. We're making good progress. Let's go back to the main overview here, the main world. We're not going to hire people yet. We're still in the middle of July, so we've gone 2 weeks. Right around September, we're going to get our first contract from the British government. Right now, we're just getting kind of news stories that are telling us that the war, designing, imagining tanks, war is going to be starting and all these kinds of things. Again, this is the dawn of a hypothetical World War I that we're coming in here now. So we are good. We're going to wait 20 days now for this twin engine to build up. I'll be back in a little while. All right, so we're through the first month. We're just waiting for that engine to get designed here too, but we do have good news in that a new administrator is now available, and we want him because he helps production. He's a really good first administrator, so that's good. So we want to jump in there, and let's go down here now to our administrative building, and let's hire this guy. He's right over here, William Tritton, and he increases man-hour cost reduction for tank production by 30%. You got to hire this guy. This guy, I mean, 30% reduction in time, and time is everything in this game. So we're going to hire William Tritton. His salary is only $3,500 is for a month. So I'm not going to screw around and just wait because it's going to take him a while to get here. We won't use him until we go into production, but I want him on hand just because I don't want to screw up and miss him because I missed him last time and had to wait a week for him. And we were 2 days late on our contract, which screwed it all up. Okay, so back into things. I'll be back as soon as the engine is researched. All right, here we go. Twin engine is researched. That's good. So let's go down to our research bureau again, and let's think about what we want to do next. I want to get aggressive here too. This RHA steel would be really nice to get to, but we're going to stick with our plan here, which is mobility. We're going to build these Warhorse improved high pass running gear. So this tread system, we're going to improve this. This will give us a lot of components that we can retrofit in our original tread design if we want to, but the running gear design, but we're not. We're going to improve this. The Warhorse here, it's going to take us 15 days, and those are the 3 components that I want to get into this original tank design. So let's start doing that. Once this is done and we get that prototype thing built, then we can go in and start building our first tank. It's going to be so cool. So let's go up now, though, however, we need to go to our engineering department over here, the engineering bureau, and I want to get there. This modification was right here, this engine, right? The Tyler twin 4-cylinder. And let's see if I think everything that we want here, carburetor is all good. The radiator Mark II, yeah, all of these advanced pieces are already in this. So if we click up on here on this component, we need to build this prototype. It's going to take 20 engineers, 5 days to do this. Good. So our engineering team is busy. Our research team is busy. Our design team is not busy, and we fired all our workers right now. So we're in pretty good shape now. We're going to wait for this one more cycle to go through, and then we'll be able to design our newest tank. So I'll be back in 15 days. So it's just a few days later that Tyler engine now is built and ready for our design. So we're good. We don't have anything to engineer. We're just waiting for the research team to finish that new tread system, that Warhorse tread system, which is really cool. One of the other things in the game, you have rival tank companies. We can see we've got world news. According to trustworthy sources, the William Foster Company has just completed a new design of the Vanguard tank. So we have our competitors out there. All right, so we have our new improved high pass running gear is done. Let's go build the prototype of that. It's going to be down in here. We're going to see, this should be pretty easy, right? Because we got this, it's right over here. I'm clicking that button way up on top there, which has got these kind of running gear systems. We can see the Centipede Mark I that we had, right? But we don't want that. We want the Warhorse right here, the Warhorse Mark I. It should have everything in it. It does. The new improved road wheels and sprockets and cooling vanes, and then the track inserts. All these things are in it, so this is pretty good to go. But again, we still have to, oh gosh, we don't have enough engineers because I think we need 30 engineers. Why can't we save that? There's a reason why we can't design this. I think we need more engineers. I'll be right back. Oh, nope, false alarm. I just had the wrong button. I had the wrong thing activated. You have to click on the blue thing to build the prototype, so we are good to go. 11 days, they're going to build the Warhorse. Oh, awesome. And then 11 days, we should be able to start building our first tank. However, if you're thinking, you're like, wait a second, you haven't researched anything new and we don't want to waste any time, I want to come up now and let's research this RHA steel. Its resistance and protective values are really, really good for this. And it takes 30 days to research it, but it's much heavier too. But I think with our better engine, I think we might be able to put some of the steel on different parts of the tank. So I want to do this before we do anything else. So let's research this RHA steel with that idea that we always want our engineers researching something. Perfect. So that is good to go. Now we want to come back to our world. The thing that we need to wait for right now is we need to wait 11 days for this Warhorse component. Then we're going to take all the pieces that our engineering bureau, all the Lego pieces the engineering bureau has put together. We're going to put them together into a really cool tank. So I'll be back in just a few days. Woohoo! Fire station has been built. This will help us from not burning down. And the Warhorse treads have been designed. Engineering is completed, which is perfect. Let's come out of this. Oh, we got a bunch of fire. All those other buildings that we built, the ergonomics offices and stuff like that, those are all done now as well. Now, a couple things that we need to do. We're going to wait one more day. Actually, we're going to go up to the design bureau and get this going. So now is the really fun part. We're going to come up here and we're going to redesign. We're going to design the Rhino 1 tank. We're going to create the design. We're going to hop right over that Mark 1 with the bicycle wheels in the back. That just looks just so old-fashioned. We're going to use our Rhino Mark 1 hull. And now we're going to come down here and select the components for it. So right beside my head, we can see we've got to select the engine. Instead of using the Daimler Knight 6-cylinder Mark 1, we're going to use that Tyler Twin 4, which provides a lot more mobility and agility. If we look down here, we can see on the mobility, we've got agility 9, transportability 6, operation range 6. If we click on this other engine, all of those numbers are different. Agility went from a 7 to a 9. The obstacle step height went from a 7 to a 9. This is just an all-around better engine with more power and everything. Now we're going to select these treads. And instead of the centipede treads that we had before, which provide agility of 8 and an obstacle step of 9, we're going to come down here to this Warhorse, which is I believe these are the same. I'm not quite sure why we have two. We're going to do the Warhorse Mark 1, which gives us an agility of 9, step up of 12. These are just better treads, right? So that's pretty cool here. This tank is really looking sharp now. Now let's come in and we're going to add the male sponson on one side. And on the other side, just to keep this light and streamlined and easy to build, I'm going to put just an armored plate on this side, figuring that we can turn the tank around if we need to. I know it's probably not the best design and stuff like that, but we want to come over here. The only gun that we have really is this Hotchkiss 6-pounder Mark 1. We'll put that in. And then in front, instead of having that Lewis machine gun, which we could put in there, which isn't really good, we're going to use this Hotchkiss 1909 Mark 2, which is going to give us better firepower and all kinds of components for that. Now, if we look at this and switch our camera here, our tank is looking pretty good. We've got this new improved tank system. We got rid of the protection on the top. Sorry, people, if you get hit over the top of the head and stuff like that. We get rid of that bicycle thing. But I think the power and better tread system is going to need it so we don't need those wheels on the back. Now we need to kind of allocate our crew. And we can see on the right here, on the top right, under crew requirements, we need a commander. You got to have like 4 points of different things. So I'm going to click through now. If I add a commander, we can see we've met the requirements. 4 kind of work amounts, really crew points, if you would, for that is met. Now we're going to come down here. We're going to need a driver that will give us 4 out of 4. I'm just going to kind of put these in until we get these all balanced. Then I'll be right back. One of the other things I like about this new and improved kind of tread system and the engine and everything like that, I believe it's giving us a little bit more space in here. We've got a 6-person crew. We've got a commander, driver, gunner, loader, mechanic, and then a gunner mechanic. And we perfectly meet all the requirements of this tank on the top right-hand side. So looking pretty good. Now, we have expendables down here. I confess, I don't really know what these do. It's high explosive Mark 1, but let's stick some of those in there just for kicks. And lastly, now we get to paint our tank. We can go to default or khaki brown. I think it's going to be in Europe somewhere, though. So let's go with, that looks pretty cool here. Oh, I don't know. This one's, I like this too. It might be for like wooded combat in the fall and stuff like that. I could see that being, or this one here. Oh, these are hard decisions now. Yeah, well, that's hard to see where it is there. That one's pretty cool looking. Let's go with this one here though too. Camouflage number 2. Okay, so it's going to take us down below. We've got everything ready. We've got all our selected components. Everything's working out right. And we're going to come down here and assign our engineers, 30 engineers here, 30 staff here. These might be production workers, actually. We're going to assign them. It's going to take them 27 days to build this first prototype. Let's get that going. Rhino Mark 1, 27 days, and we're going to have this beast of a tank. It's first tank that we can go off and then test. So let's go back now to our main area. And one of the things I want to do, because we have nothing that our engineering bureau is doing, I mentioned you could retrofit pieces. I want to keep our engineers busy here. So we're going to come in here. We had for these tread system, we had the Centipede tread system, which was the original tread system. Now, just to keep our engineers busy, I want to come in here and click this Idler Mark 1. I want to give Idler Mark 2 for it. Oops, sorry, we have to come back and we have to create a new prototype, a new type one here. So we're going to do this here, Idler Mark 2. We're going to give it the better road wheels, and we're going to give it the better sprockets. I don't know if we'll ever use this, but I want to kind of come back in here and just kind of build this for us. So Mark 2. And now we don't have any staff because all of our staff is either researching stuff or building stuff. So I'm just going to kind of save this Centipede Mark 2 tread design. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to go hire more engineers and get them on it here. More researchers and get them on it. So I'll be right back. I just waited a day till September 1st because you hire workers by the month. So I waited a day to hire 20 engineers, and now we can redesign the Centipede Mark II. So it's the original tread system, but with improved idler, road wheels, and sprockets. So let's get our engineers doing that. 7 days to do that. That's good. Now, I haven't hired our workers yet because it's going to take us 27 days to build that first tank with our 30 engineers up there. So I'm going to wait until right at the September 1st, October 1st. Then we're going to hire like 250 workers and get our production line going. So, okay, now it's just basically some time to wait for this tank to get built, and we're going to keep researching things. I'll be back when something interesting happens. Something interesting's happened. It is now the 7th of September. We get our first contract offer. So the tank corps that was newly formed has an available contract. And we can't select a tank design because we don't have a tank design completed yet. So we're going to hurry and get that tank design. We have to get our bid in by October 8th is the deadline for that. Oof, that is fast. And they're going to need delivery by November 27th. Oh my goodness, this is fast. The last time I had until December to do this. So the game does apparently go a little bit differently. So we got to get that first tank done really quickly. Nothing we can do now. We might be committed to failure here. So this is our goal, is to get a bid in here by October 8th, which means we have to get a tank to offer them. Okay, come on, engineers. Don't fail me now. September 19th, our RHA steel has been designed, has been researched there. So let's go down and research the next thing here. Now, this is an interesting one here. If we stay on that mobility track, we've got this low pass running gear, which starts to get at the more modern tank design, right? And so instead of being a full high tread, we can click on this. And so this is a chaser running gear is intended for open engagements rather than difficult trench warfare. It does not track around the full hull of the tank, allowing it to double the speed of heavy rhomboidal tanks at the trade-off of poor trench traversal capacity. So the question is, do we want to do that or do you want to do something else? I think for the moment, we could do this medium hull, which I think goes together with that lower tread and stuff like that. Let's come down here, though, and let's research this female sponson, which is going to give us some different options. I think we can put machine guns in the side of the tank, too. So let's do that just to kind of keep moving with that. It's going to take us 18 days, so our research team is busy on that right now. But at the moment now, though, however, if we look back up here on the top right of the screen, we can see we've got 8 days for our prototype tank to be done. Let's wait for those 8 days, and then we're going to go off and send it to the proving grounds, and we can put this tank into that kind of bid for the production there. The Rhino Mark I is done. Our first tank is complete. So what we want to do now with our first tank, well, it's not over there. It's basically, I think it's up here in the warehouse. But what we're going to do now is we want to take it to the proving grounds. We're going to take the tank right here, and we want to put the Mark I on its basic trials. It's going to take a test. It's going to take, I don't know how long it's going to take here. What is it? Does it tell us here? 48. Test cost 4,000. In any case, okay, 6 days it's going to take us to test this. We're going to get results from that that's going to allow us to improve and tweak and modify some of the defects of this tank. Because if we go back up here to our production line, which is our design up here, and then we click on the Rhino over here, the Rhino Mark I, we can see these red boxes here on the right. So we've got the attribute has 3 defects. And this attribute has 1 defect. So operation range, it's got a defect. We can, by running it on the proving ground, we can then come back here and remove these defects, which is going to give us a better tank here for our Rhino Mark I, which is looking totally ready to kick butt here. But in the meantime, I wonder now if we can bid on the contract here. Yes, we can. So we can bid on the contract. And this is where we got to get it right. because we have to balance the price that we can change over here in the top right with the number of tanks they want, which is 20, with the application deadline. Oh, okay. The application deadline here is the 9th, and they want the tanks by, we have to make a guarantee when we can get them by too. I'm going to think for a second and do a little bit of math here and then figure out how we might be able to do this, because I want to wait for the defects to get fixed first. Actually, the application deadline is until October 9th, and the test is going to be done before then. We're going to hire all our workers back on October 1st. So let's just wait. We're going to cut this really close here, but let's go back and wait for the proving ground test to be done. And in the meantime, let's take the Rhino Mark 1 for a test drive. This is cool. So this is where you get to basically prove out. Now, apparently in the earlier versions of the game, so right here, here's our test ground. So now we can go out and we can check out. We've got 10 minutes, if we can see in the top right-hand side, to basically take this tank and figure it out. Oh, did I put the wrong treads on it? Hope not. Okay. Anyway, we got 10 minutes here to complete this obstacle course. No problem getting over that trench. Just like we thought, the improved power and the improved tread system, we don't need that wheel on the back anymore. That's good. This tank is motoring around, and there's going to be various targets that we can fire at. So we'll go through this a little bit. We've got to get 300 points, which basically means maneuvering and firing at targets and be able to get 300 points in 10 minutes. It doesn't seem very hard, honestly, but you do get a score and stuff like that. So, oh, we'll check this out up here, because this is where we get our first targeting. Now we can see we can fire either the Hotchkiss or we can fire the Hotchkiss machine gun. We're fans of Hotchkiss here. See if the tank can get up the hill here. Oh, no problem. Lots of power. So over here we've got a couple of targets that we want to fire at. Let's take out this target right here. Critical's there. Bang. Now reloading time is there. It's that blue circle. It's going up. Not bad on the reloading time here too. Oops, I missed. Darn it. That's not good. Trigger figure jumped. Bang. Third one down. Can we get this one? Yep. It's not bad range on this 6-pounder here. Bang. All targets down. So I'll complete this test run here. We'll get the tank and we'll get this towards the end. And then we'll be back. So we've made it through the test run here. This should be our last point, and we should clear it. Yeah, first tank of exceptional performance. Exceptional performance. All these kinds of things. Repair phase 5, deployment phase. Perfect. We did very well. We had a little trouble with like slight inclines, but it's a detail. We don't need to tell the British government about that. Slight inclines. I don't think most battlefields will have slight inclines. So now we can go back here to our design bureau, and we can check out our design and we can fix those defects because we've tested the tank on the proving ground. So we're going to click here in the Rhino, and over here on the right side, crew awareness, right? So we get this. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. My bad. Take that back. I take that back. We have to wait for the proving ground test to be done before we can do that. So we have not the test drive. The test drive just gives us some more information there about the tank. So I will be back as soon as the test is done on the proving ground of our tank. One of the things that I did while we're waiting here is, I took that RHA steel, that new steel that we got, and I put it into a new hull. So instead of the Rhino Mark 1 hull, which weighs 13,000 pounds here, we have the steel one, which is 13,540 instead of 13,290. But that should increase its protection rating quite a bit. If we look down here on that protection rating, yeah, we can see kinetic resistance goes up to a 24 and shock resistance goes up to 11 as opposed to 14 and 6. So it just offers a lot more protection for our crew. It won't be in our current tank because we haven't designed the tank with it, but we can use it in future iterations. All right, we get notification the tank trials are completed for the Rhino Mark 1. Now we can come over with those tank trials here. We can click on our Rhino Mark 1 right here. And now we can come in and click on crew awareness, this defect, and it's going to say blocked vision ports crew limit. Crew awareness is severely limited when vision ports are blocked. Amend the defects to reduce the penalty. This is going to give our tank a better rating, which is going to make it more competitive in bidding. So we're going to spend $2,500 to amend that. Likewise, I'm going to do the same here for crew aiming. We're going to amend that. Crew safety, we're going to amend that. And then lastly, operation range, we are going to amend that. So that's going to fix those defects that we found because we proved the tank. Now we can come in and do the math on our contract. I've hired all our 250 workers back too. Let's go to the contract center and we can figure it out. So we should be able to select this tank design now. There it is. The Rhino Mark 1 is going to be our tank that we're sending them. And we can see here, view competitors' offers. They have a success score of 398. So if we can beat that down below at the success score, right now we're at 382 already. So we just have to sacrifice a little bit. If we lower the price, we can see our success score should go up 383. And so we're going to play around with this. But I also want to do the math on the production here, because they expect the delivery by December 20. We have promised it by December 23rd. I want to make sure we can do that. So I'm going to kind of toy around with the production and stuff like that. I'll be right back. So we're going to take a chance here because I think we can get the contract if we get the right numbers and stuff like that. We're going to start the production line up. And I've come over here now. We're in the production facility. I've selected the Rhino Mark 1 and I've added up to 20. We can see in that bottom right-hand corner that we want to build 20 of them. And it tells us it's going to take 45 days. Now, additionally, we have to ship it and get it to the unit in time too. And that can take about 10 to 12 days as well. So the number I think we're working with here is 55 days. So I want to go back to that contract and make sure that we've got 55 days so that we get the tanks to the unit on time. Excuse me. Otherwise, we don't get any money. So we're going to start building them. There we go. Our administrator's on it. 45 days left for us to have our 20 tanks. Now I'm going to go back and check out this contract here. Oh, here it is right here. And see what we got. We're going to select our tank design. The Rhino Mark 1 gets a very good score because we fixed all the defects and stuff like that. Protection, look at that. And all of the details here on these different things, this is really just amazing how much depth it goes to. But, okay, so I'm going to do the math here. Alrighty, so the only thing I can do to get this contract, I think here, we have to lower the price from 36,000. So maybe building all the components that we did was probably a little bit ambitious. We probably could have done better with not trying to get the upgraded features and stuff like that. We probably should have built a simpler tank because then we would have had it ready so we wouldn't have to delay production because we need 55 days to build the tanks and I'm allowing 10 days to ship the tanks. That's November 28th, which is 11 days after they want them. The only way for us to get them to take that contract is if we lower the price from $36,000 per tank to $30,250. Now, I think it's still going to be profitable for us, but I don't want to lower the price like that. Ideally, I'd like to have everything up more, but we need this first contract. So there, we have contract and review. We have submitted it for them. Now, hopefully, we can make this contract in time because if we don't, we are out of business. That's the bottom line. We are just gone. So we can see we've got our production hall is up and running, 45. We're pretty good now. We can just basically kind of keep researching and thinking about our next design because after this first contract, we're going to get more contracts, more tanks, better tanks and stuff like that. So I'm going to play ahead now for like 45 days or so till all these contracts, till our tanks get done. I'll show what interesting things come up. In the meantime, I'm going to be kind of designing and building our second tank. Good news, our contract has been accepted. So we got to get these tanks there. 8th of October, hopefully we make it. While we're producing those other tanks, we researched this medium Whippet series here, but we're going to call it I'm going to design it the Raptor. This is a medium tank, not that a completely different design that's going to use the other tread system, but we're getting our engineers now building a prototype unit of that. So this is going to be a real completely different hull. Of course, starting to like evolve and look more like modern tanks as well. This would not work as well again for trench warfare. One of the things I realized we can do, we can send our order piecemeal. So I'm going to send the 13. We got 13 of the Rhinos done. I'm in our warehouse now. We've got 13 of the Rhinos done. We can see the count up over my head here. So I'm going to send 13 of them by this Wankington and Sons delivery. A delivery speed is 12 days, which is fine. We got time to do it. I think we got time to do it. Yeah, 15th, right? And we promised them like 27th. That will save us some money because their price per unit is $1,000 compared to the Richelle company, which is longer and has the same safety rating. So off they go. So we sent out 13 of our tanks so far, and that should get us at least that if disaster comes, we only lose the last 7 there because we're still waiting 14 more days for these last 7 tanks to come in. Our first 13 tanks were delivered. We have our income now up to 30,000. We picked up 314,000. Our tank line is other 7 tanks are almost done. Oop, now they are done. The Rhino Mark 1, the last tanks are done. So let's go up here to the storage, warehouse tank storage, and we're going to send these last tanks off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all set to go. We're going to pick the Richelle company because the delivery speed is 8 days. Oh, we could have used Chevrolet transport, which would have been 5 days. That's pretty fast. Would have been $250 more bucks, but we could have jacked the price up a little to save that time. Anyway, we're learning. So 7, quantity 7 is going there. 8 days left until it gets there. That should be good. And that should wrap up our first tank order. Let's see, hopefully, we'll wait till I'll be back in 7 days once it gets there. No! Tank delivery delayed by 7 days. Are you kidding me? That means we're not going to get there? We're not going to get the money? Seriously? That's harsh. Yeah, it's not going to make it, is it? Contract number 1. Time is out for your Oh, we got it. No, it made it. Just made it. Because our income went up. The tank battalion, yep. So that's good. Okay. Because our income, we can see up top 544,000. So they made it. We got our tank deliveries there and we are done. In the meantime, I've gone over now. We could come over here and design a new tank because we have let's create a new design with this medium Whippet series here. So the Raptor 1, we could start putting things in that, the Taylor engine. We can put these new Whippet tank treads on it and stuff like that. And I think we could start putting in, where does this go? Armored seal, I guess. Oh, because maybe we don't have a gun for it, huh? This only can have machine guns? Can we put the Hotchkiss in there? Okay, on the side, that's not bad. Hotchkiss on the other side. Okay, so it's kind of like a machine gun tank here. And then, what is this? Expendables. Yep, this goes... Oh, machine gun in the front. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then in the back. Look at that. This is pretty nasty looking. So it's a complete machine gun tank from all different sides. Oh, cool. So that could very well be our next design. But with that in mind, I want to save that design. Yeah, that's going to be our Raptor 1 kind of light tank model. So next thing we have to do is have to figure out how we can get a gun into that one. And there you have it. So go for Arms Trade Tycoon tanks. As you can see, so much depth to this. It is so much fun to kind of design your tanks. I can't imagine when this game gets to the end, if you can pick different countries and build it out like 60 years from 1914 all the way up and, well, more, maybe 80 years, 90 years into the modern era. I mean, that's just crazy to think. So they got a long way to go, but the model is looking really, really good. It's really fun right now. And again, I've played, 5 months out of a 20-year potential campaign with this early access version. So plenty to do. Let me know your questions down below. I hope you've enjoyed this lengthy overview, but there's a lot here. So thanks everybody for watching. Take care.